Hi all, it's been a while. Been really busy with work and my family, especially right now there's a lot of launches that are ongoing. Alright, but I thought it's important to give you guys a quick update on the market, especially with the crazy Pent-up launch that happened last weekend, right? That over 76% of the units were sold. You're looking at 700 units out of 900 units. Percentage is one thing, but the absolute number of units at 700 for a single launch and at 2,500 plus PSF, it's no mean feat, right? So I think the big question right now that you guys must have is this real demand? Can this demand be sustainable, or if this is a bubble risk altogether, right? So let's take a look at it. I thought I'll just answer you altogether, all right? When we look at articles like this, I think we just have to look in terms of the context, right? And who's writing it and things like that. I feel there's some cherry picking involved. Okay, yes, I do think that it's a bit pricey. I was there at the launch itself. In fact, the price actually changed 4 to 5 times throughout the day. We started maybe from 8 a.m. all the way up to 11 p.m. to 12 a.m., right? And the price actually went up 4 to 5%. Probably the later stage one, and if you look at the not so good units, probably there's lesser value over there. I do agree to some extent. But when you're looking at Pent-up, I think because of the location that really sells. And if you're looking at the market as a whole, you can't just look at Pent-up per se, right? Whether to assess whether the market is too overheated or is there a bubble altogether, right? Because besides this launch, there's another 2 other launches also happened last weekend, right? And if you look over here, you will realize that actually one Sophia, the Sophia Collective, the residential component was also selling, and they only sold around 10% of the units. 10%, it's actually only 35 units, right? There's not many units, and then of course they use the percentage there. And then you have also the CDL Union Square, the one is also a very prime location. That's so 20%, that's around 75 units. Definitely not as crazy as Pent-up, but it also showed the other spectrum of the market whereby, buyers are actually very discerning and selective. And as a whole, if you say that it's very overheated, there's a bubble, maybe not so if you compare the other 2 launches, right? Because they're only at 10-20%. What this tells me, and also about the market, is actually the demand is real. I think it's there. I'll explain why later with 3 important reasons. But they're also very selective on the products out there for the buyers. I do think that it is a healthy demand. It's something that is reasonably sustainable because with all the measures and all the reasons that I'll explain to you later. But of course, you have to really pick the better ones out there that really suits your need. And let's say for investment, it must have something that is able to have capital upside. And of course, if you're going to hold it for long, there must be a decent rental yield. All right. And that's another topic altogether that we can explore on the product selection. Okay, so what are the 3 reasons about the main demand looking at Pent-up and the market in general as a whole? I'll just sum it up into 3 points quite simply for you to understand. As a base, I'll say that there's strong fundamentals. Okay, domestic, regional. If you've been following me, I'm quite pro in this region in Singapore, how Southeast Asia is really benefiting from the entire landscape. To the growth landscape and how the growth is transitioning to this area. Whether you look at the decoupling from China shifting over to Southeast Asia, or you just look at the demographics from the young population side of things, Southeast Asia is very, very exciting. And Singapore, where we're situated right in the middle, and because of us being a hub, being a center of excellence, a currency, a strong Swiss standard currency, I think we continue to attract the best of the talents around this region. So this is the very, very strong fundamentals. Job growth is strong, population growth is strong, income growth is strong. Later I'll show you more charts to explain. In the middle, you look at this pent-up demand, right? I talked about this also previously in my sharings. If you look at just from the new launch sale per se, on an average basis, we are way below average from a 10-year to 20-year volume. Okay, later I'll explain. Lastly, of course, the changing of the interest rate sentiments. I think this is, to me, the catalyst for people to take action, especially for those who are sitting on the fence, because you don't want to wait until when interest rate is really low, because the price will be factored in. So it's good that you want to kind of front run it a bit by looking at the forecasting of the interest rates movement. And actually, I did this video quite detailed with all the numbers explained. Later, I'll just quickly run through it also. So first, forming the base on the strong fundamentals. I hope you have been following so far. Just some articles over here to give you the perspective. I think you should already be up to speed with this if you have been following the market, because we are lucky again, Singapore, whether you look at economies from outside or even from already a number of years since COVID of strong growth, and we can continue with this momentum. I think this speaks volume of the state of the economy of Singapore, right? Domestically, if you look at individual household incomes, if you look at individual household financial wealth, these are all at very, very healthy numbers. Liabilities increased by 1%, you can see the one in the dark blue border. Liabilities increased by 1%, but our asset actually increased by 8%, so we have a net gain of 7%. Net worth, actually we are definitely in a net asset position, and we got a higher disposable income. It's definitely very healthy. Even this chart doesn't show the high saving rates that Singaporeans have. Over here, you look at the regional economies, talk about Southeast Asia, and this being confirmed, right, over here by McKinsey, by Asian Development Bank and DBS, right. Specifically from McKinsey, you can see over here that they mentioned that the economies are resilient, strong, in fact achieving the strongest quarter, okay, in this year. And then even DBS mentioned that Southeast Asia as a whole will outpace China in GDP and foreign domestic investment growth in the next decade. I think there's something very exciting. Southeast Asia, the Asian Development Bank over there, you can see the growth are all in the high fours. Already explained over there in the high fours. So we got regional growth, we got domestic growth, and with our good immigration policies, especially on the ground handling renters, I can see that we are continuing to attract better talents out there and people that are doing very well. So this will of course benefit the entire Singapore economy. So in the middle of the pyramid, okay, you look at this is the pent-up demand. I feel this is very, very important. In fact, this is one of the leading indicators that I've mentioned before. Okay, these are all bar charts showing the volumes of the new home sales annually since 2004 all the way to 2023 as a total year. And you can see the one in red that I put down there because there's only 9 months of volumes recorded. Okay, that one's in red bar chart. You can see in general, the dotted lines in red is the average for the last 20 years at 10,800 units. The green dotted lines is the average for the last 10 years at 8,800 units. Even last year and the year before, we got very, very thin volumes. And I think I explained this quite a fair bit. When you look at volumes that's very thin, it actually means that there's a tug of war between the buyers and sellers. How I look at it in the current market context is the sellers actually probably have no real reasons to sell low because of the strong fundamentals that I talked about, right? And in fact, if you look at just on policy basis, those with multiple properties, if you sell one, you can't buy another one without ABSD. In fact, ABSD is so heavy these days, right? And then those that are even not working but cash rich, you can't even get a loan, so they have to pay up in full. So it's very hard for people, the rationale must be very strong for people to really sell their property. And even if they want to sell, they probably want to sell at a very high price. So you have the situation whereby sellers and also maybe developers, they know that they have a high bargaining power. At the same time, probably buyers last year, the year before, couldn't really accept the high prices, right? 2000, that's established even now, North Grey and Woodlands, and then you've got Jurong, and then all the way you got Pasir Ris side, right? So people cannot accept. But I think coming till now, because of the low volumes, if you talk about population maintaining and we actually had population growth, the mean volume shouldn't change too much, right? It translates to me, how I look at it is there's a lot of pent-up demand. There's a lot of buyers who are sitting around with maybe ready cash looking to buy but waiting for opportunities, sitting on the fence, but they're all waiting down there. There's a lot of pent-up demand because we definitely have to kind of go back to the norm, right, of where we are even at 8,000. We don't even talk about 10,000 in the last 20 years. So you can look at right now in 2024, it's 9 months into it. We're only at the 3,000 mark. Even if you add Chuan Park and a very hot one upcoming at Emerald, probably we should be even lucky to hit at around 6,000, okay, up to year end. So these are still very, very low numbers, okay. That's why coming into 2025, I think you're heralding a new phase in this property cycle. So 2025 is going to be exciting, and of course you don't have to wait till the later stage. Find something that's a good buy out there before everything will be more expensive buy. So again, there's a lot of pent-up demand because a lot of people were sitting on the fence in the last couple of years. And lastly would be interest rates. I never break down the numbers over here. The detailed ones will be put the link over there in my last sharing on YouTube. You can have a look at it. I just sum it up nicely over here. There's two main points. Okay, when interest rate comes down, of course your monthly installments will drop. But what is the effect of the drop in monthly installment? Okay, number one is the higher disposable income. Okay, you can spend on other things because it's like this. I mean, it's just very psychological, right? You get a little bit more confidence in your spending power, in your own asset, in your own network, because you've got more to spend. Okay, and then of course better cash flow, especially those people who are renting out. They were facing very high interest rates and maybe even some drop in rentals. Now, when you actually reprice to a fixed rate that's as low as 2.55. Right, you can even get a positive cash flow. I think some of my current property, my own property, will also have positive cash flow these days. Because if you manage to take care of your tenants well, coming after the COVID, if they're still paying at a high and they continue to renew at the high rates, or just a slightly drop in rates, then you actually benefit a lot with the lowering rates recently. Because last time at 4% all the way up to 2.5 now is almost half the interest cost, right? So better cash flow is very important. And because of that, of course, the sellers and developers will have better and stronger holding power. There's no real need to really sell low. They can manage their cash flow properly, right? And investment appetite, those that are sitting on the fence waiting to buy the second property, to rent out. If you think that last time the interest rate was very high, you're right. And now maybe people are starting to think twice, because at 2+% is actually very, very low financing. Lastly, of course, this is a stronger investment appetite. Those who are taking equity term loan can also consider, right? Because if your house is almost fully paid up, you do have quite a bit of equity to gear up. So some people actually take the money out to do business. Some people take their money out to buy the second house for their spouse or for their kids and things like that, right? So this is the result of the drop in monthly installment, which is huge. The effects, the positive effects, is huge in terms of the sentiments, right? The second point, which actually is equally important, but to me actually is more important than the first point, is the drop in TDSR stress tests. A lot of people don't understand this, and it's quite an unknown thing that is not really talked about. TDSR stress test first started out at 3.5%. That's when we want to take a loan. MAS requires bank to assess our loan based on 3.5% interest rates on the maximum amount that you can take, although current interest rates may be low. But there was a point in time last year whereby the stress test went up to 4.8%. Actually, not even last year, at the start of this year, it went up to as high as 4.8% because of the prudence measures that the banks are taking and MAS is taking. 4.8% to assess how much loan you can get is very, very stringent. You literally can get a very little sum of money, and I explained the difference in my other video sharing that you can take a look. But now the stress test information has dropped to already 4%. So the 0.8% free up loan purchasing power, I think that will give buyers a better overall purchasing power out there. And if you multiply by the number of people out there, it means that more people can afford bigger houses and greater demand. So this is actually a very important point for the interest rate change in sentiments. Alright, so that's these 3 points to really explain where we are heading. I think the demand is real. I think it's reasonably sustainable as long as you don't pick too crazily priced properties that are not as good. I have many videos. Look out for them, and also you can also just directly contact me if you're looking out for properties. I'll probably do a bit more sharing in depth into products in my next few sharings. Alright, and if you want also a comprehensive list of the upcoming new launches, especially in 2025, and the top few ones that I think that you should really look at, especially existing properties that are selling, that I feel are actually selling at the old price tag, and do not participate in the hype. Alright, I think these are all flying under the radar. These are something interesting. If you want a little bit of this kind of recommendation, do contact me for more. Alright, thanks for watching till the end, and I'll see you for the next one. Alright, thank you.